do a share screen.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Genius School's webinar on future skills and future learning. It's so great to have you here. I think everyone's just coming in now. Are we all good? Is everybody here? Yeah, cool. So what we're going to cover today is how to prepare your child for a radically different future. So it's myself here, Angie Stead. So I'm the co-founder and leader of Genius School, and I have my amazing colleague, Karen Bonanno here, who leads the Young Entrepreneur Academy and the Teen Quest, and works with us on Genius School too. So today we're going to cover the importance of developing future skills for lifelong success and the need to prepare our young people for the future of work, the future world of work, I should say. And we're going to give you some strategies for how to learn self-awareness, how to boost your confidence and set yourself up for success, self-expression, learning strategies to unlock your creative superpowers, and self-mastery, learn how to develop effective problem-solving and critical thinking skills. And we'll look at the Genius School solution as well. So just a little bit about Genius School. Genius School offers child-centered, personalized learning pathways that ignite the genius in young people, therefore creating self-aware lifelong learners, empowering your future leaders, and learning, creating, and earning together. So these are real great pathways that we teach our young people through our programs. But I think, first of all, we need to address the elephant in the room, because we refer to the word genius a lot. And I know for some people, they might think, well, and we've had it said to us, haven't we, Karen? Well, my child's no genius, or is this just for gifted children or for children with so-called special needs, etc. We've heard it all, but we believe that everybody is a genius. It's just our responsibility to help our young people to see the genius within. And the ancient Romans believed that genius was your unique spirit or personality that resides within your body for your whole life. And the words derived from two Latin terms, genius meaning as above, and ingenium related to a noun referring to our innate dispositions, talents, and inborn nature. So beginning to blend the concepts of the divine and the talented. So you can see this proves that everybody truly is a genius. So our mission is to make sure that every young person knows that. So Karen, I'd really like to hand over to you in your whole wealth of experience as a teacher, as a leader in education, as a teacher librarian, and I could go on and on and on, but let's talk about the problem here and what we're doing.
Angie, you're making me sound as if I've been around for a long time. Well, it's interesting that you should say that, because seeing the way that education has evolved over the years, I'm disappointed to say that it's not really tracking fast enough for the changes that our young people are experiencing. So we see this issue arising all the time these days of this whole standardized testing. And it's the one size fits all. Everybody sits for the same test at the same time and to a certain extent on the same day. And it's all very highly competitive. And in some cases, in some schools where they're really highly competitive with other schools, they actually encourage kids not even to sit for the test because it's all competitive. And so we get this issue of the pass-fail problem within the school system. And also too, it's a case of the kids have got to sit there and they've got to do exactly the same thing. So it's a very challenging environment. And in fact, it's been questioned a lot about its effectiveness in increasing young people's abilities and capabilities and aptitudes when it comes to preparing them for the future. And the other thing is they focus a lot on the academic skills. So they focus on all of these subjects and specific subjects, and they're taught in isolation. There's limited integration across what's happening in the curriculum. And the other thing is they tend to, because of this standardized testing, the teachers actually teach to the test And then a lot of you as parents, you probably heard the term crowded curriculum, because a lot of things that happen is that there's so much content to be taught that it's a step-by-step curriculum process. And we spend so much time on this curriculum area. And then before the kids can really consolidate it, we move on to the next area. So there's a real challenge with standardized testing and academic skills. So Angie, have you experienced this, because you come from even your early childhood, but you would have educators coming through?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we say this all the time. We have educators with degrees, diplomas and degrees entering the teaching profession. And it blows my mind that some of them even passed. And I just want to say we have some amazing teachers, and there are fantastic teachers out there. But what we find is that people enter the world of work and really don't have a clue, because they've forgotten most of what they learned at college and university, because it was taught in a way that didn't have so much meaning. And like you say, Karen, no time to apply the learning. It's a case of pass this test, pass this assignment, and quickly let's move on to the next one. Whereas,
which leads nicely into this results, because this is what you're saying are the results of that type of learning. So kids get disengaged because it's all about the content, and learning becomes hard because it may not actually suit them to learn that standardized test approach. And it's not personalized because it's the same test for everybody, same content, same style, everybody sits for it at the same time. And then with the focus on academic skills, as you say, there's the lack of skills that they're needing into the future, not only just for being able to engage in learning effectively, but also for their future work environment. And as well, I mean, I'm speaking here as someone who's an educator and has been working in the school system, an education system, but we were spoon feeding kids. So we're not actually getting them to think about what they're doing. And this was an interesting quote I found recently from a teacher who reflected on their 11 years of being a teacher in a classroom, and they wrote the book, The School. And this is something that they said, which resonated with me, that there is a risk of the humanity of the student becoming invisible. And so they're so focused on the standardized testing that they're not connecting with the actual human themselves. And if you reflect back on what Angie shared about the natural genius, we're losing that because they're so focused on making sure that all this content is there, all this testing is in place, everybody's pass, fail, everybody's marked off. But for us at Genius School, what we want to focus on is this whole future skills development. So setting kids up for success by integrating a lot of these skills that you see here into our programs. And you can see there are 4 areas. So there's the problem solving, there's the working with people, there's the whole self-management, and there's the technology. And that self-management area is really, really important, particularly in our current climate, that we're needing kids to be able to be resilient and to kind of stick with things and persevere and develop that social emotional intelligence, but as well, learning how to be critical thinkers and creative individuals, and looking at the problem solving and also using the technology in a constructive way, not necessarily totally always in an entertaining way.
Yeah.
So a little success story we've got here for someone who in our young entrepreneur is a graduate. Isa was joined us last year, and she spent kind of the first week really not quite sure what she wanted to do, because she was so used to a system which told her what to do and told her how to do it and when to do it. And so she was kind of sitting back for a while and kind of wondering what she needed to do. So for her goal in the end, particularly when we were able to connect her with something that she was excited about, was the life on the land, in particular insects. She was really worried about the insect ecology. And also too, this was during a time when we were kind of at the peak of the pandemic, and everybody was being told, hand sanitize. And she was really worried that if everybody around the world is doing this, what impact is it having on the insects? So her plan that she developed for her business plan was to launch a selection of eco-friendly soaps that would encourage kids to wash their hands, but also at the same time to educate people about saving the insects of the world, as well as looking after personal hygiene. So she had this action plan of this beautiful handcrafted soap, and she came onto the program about week 3. She got her first box of soap making bits and pieces, and she was so excited to share with us all the different ingredients that she had, and even sort of quirky little things like glitter that she could put through the soap and all that. And so she was delighted to be able to share with us her journey, because she now had got to a point where she had a business. And she's also kept in contact with us to let us know that she's been earning some money by selling her soap. So here she is at 9. I mean, she's 10 this year, but at 9, she has actually been able to step aside from all of that traditional style of learning and start to embrace something that she was keen in. No doubt she drew on her learning skills and abilities that she had as a 9-year-old, but she was able to really get into the program. And then the other thing we've got happening too is in our traditional education system, we've got this whole information focus, that everything is all about knowledge, it's all about data, it's all about detail. And so what happens is it's cramming kids' head with all this information, but it's really not, as Angie said before, making the application. That the emphasis is on that scholastic learning, on that research learning, and then finding that information and then sort of regurgitating it back out. And it's very lockstep. So if we think about the curriculum again, it's you do this content, then in 45 minutes or so, you move on to the next content. So you don't really have a chance to consolidate the information that you're doing. And then it's exam based. So once they've got all this knowledge in their head, it's then putting them into an exam situation and trying to get them to remember what they've learned. So often I know that myself, when I was in school as a teenager, I'd do this cramming the night before the exam, hoping that all that knowledge would stay in my head. And the next day I'd be able to just write it out in copious amounts and answer all the questions and get everything happening. So it's all about this limited learning and remembering only. So the results that we see is that it's irrelevant. So Angie, I'm sure that, you know, building on what you've said before, that it's not making the connections for the kids for real life.
And the interesting thing is, and the very sad thing, that me being in early childhood education, we operate a play-based curriculum. And that means that our under 6s lead their own learning and they learn through play. And that's what learning should be like. And if we can trust children under 6, and they have the greatest learning, the fastest growth in their learning under 6 than any other time of their lives, and that's through a play-based curriculum. If we can teach children under 6, why can't we? If we can trust children under 6, I should say, then why can't we trust older children to lead their own learning as well, without testing, measuring, and getting them to memorize, etc., etc.
Yeah. So you'll get the slides sent out to you in an email that will follow up. And I really encourage you to have a look at this video by Sir Ken Robinson. And the little graphic that I captured from that video, I think is very important for us to realise that the education system was designed for an industrial revolution, not an information or knowledge or technology or even humanitarian type revolution that we've got happening within our world. And so we've got to move away from this aspect of not preparing our kids for the future by the type of education that's going on, and with a learning that's only limited to a few kids who that type of learning suits. And so a big aspect that we get from a lot of parents is they're saying that the learning isn't engaging and it's quite redundant. And so we encourage people to think about what Sir Ken Robinson, who unfortunately passed away last year, but his legacy lives on. And Angie, you've got a great story of spending some time with him.
Yeah, I was so blessed. He's from Liverpool, and I'm from that part of the world too. So, and he was touring New Zealand about, I think it was 4 years ago now. And I went to see him in Auckland and bought his books just so I could go and have the book signed, so I could say hi and tell him how amazing he is and how I love what he's doing. And I was so lucky. I was in a line of about 20 people, and he stopped to talk to me, recognized my accent, And I was blessed to have a good 5 minutes chatting to Ken with everyone else backed up in the queue, and was able to share with him what we're doing here with Genius School. And, you know, his words were, I love what you're doing. I've just written this book, which was called The Element, and it links to exactly everything you're talking about. He said, go to this website and connect with me, because I would love for us to collaborate, because we're doing the same thing. And so I walked on air, just danced out of that place. I was so, so happy because we'd had the validation, and I'd met the amazing Sir Ken Robinson. But sadly, he passed before that I could, we had time. But anyway, he's done great things, and his legacy lives on. So it's great. Definitely watch this video.
Yeah, so for us, I guess we can say his legacy lives on in some of our young graduates.
Yeah.
So Alex he actually had a project that he had done at school, but it was just a project that he'd done at school. But he was really excited about it. It was all about beekeeping and producing honey. And then he connected with us with the Young Entrepreneur Academy, and he saw how he could turn that kind of passion project he had into a business. So his goal was to produce this 100% raw natural honey and to handle the process so it wouldn't interfere with the bees and the honey. And so he now is selling his honey here in Australia, and it's not just in his local area. He's expanded now where he's got a shipping system in place where he is selling his honey interstate. And so as I've said, you'll get the slides, and go and check out his Facebook page, because he has now got his siblings involved, and the whole family, in fact, are all involved in his business. So he's really quite excited. So that's really how you can take the old sort of formal style of learning and the information, but turn that into a business when you can make the connections in that space. And that's really what we do within Genius School, is we shift from this level of uncertainty, as in, will my child, by going through the traditional education system, really get the skills and capabilities to step into the working world? Or will they need to be doing something extra? You know, what's going to happen? What's the hope in the future? And so we have this three-pronged framework that sits around our curriculum, with the very first part on self-awareness. And this is where the young person gets to know who they are, who they show up as. And as Manji mentioned before, with the definition of genius, they get to know their natural genius. And then they get to the point of being able to engage in self-expression, because once you know who you are and what you're capable of, you can then engage in expressing who you are and looking at how you add value with the things that you do. And then the last part is the self-mastery. So it's applying all of that and stepping up to a higher level to actually apply that so that your life takes on a whole different focus. So with the first part of self-awareness, what we've got here is some information that we are wanting you to think about in the context of your own child. So this is knowing their unique strengths, talents, and capabilities. And it's important for a young person to know who they are first through understanding their natural genius. And then we're involved in igniting that genius so they're able to learn, lead, and communicate and earn at their best. So we cover all of this within our Young Entrepreneur Academy, and we lay that strong foundation before we take them to another level of learning. And in a way, we've got tools that we use, assessment tools and other tools. So our team dynamics and talent dynamics profiling is one of our tools. And for those of you who are familiar with Roger James Hamilton's work, you'll know that when he displays this talent dynamics profile, it's all about the people like Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg, Melinda Gates, all of these other people. Well, we now have our own amazing group of teams who they have identified that level of self-awareness, and they're showing up, and they're also exhibiting a high level of mastery with the development of their businesses through the Young Entrepreneur Academy. So we've got a little slot here, the mechanic. We have a young entrepreneur vacancy to fill. So we'd love for you to have your child involved. If their profile is a mechanic, then they'll get to see themselves here. But all of these young people range from the age, Isa was 9 when she joined us, right up to Alex is 18. He's now 19. So we've got all of these age brackets in between each, and each of these young people have taken their profile and then really use their natural strengths to get into flow to start to develop their business. And we're seeing that even more and more, that as they go through the 4 weeks, there's this high level of awareness for them as they're going through the whole process. And one of our Young Entrepreneur Academy graduates, Corinne, who comes from Bali, she joined us, and she kind of had an interest in art and a hobby, but wasn't quite sure what she could do. And she found out that she was a creator. So that really resonated with her, that she was using her creative genius to be engaged in artwork. And she was always involved in art classes and everything else. And she then was able to take her love of art as a hobby and turn it into a business. And her action plan was to color the world with her art. And her slides that she shared with us for her business plan and strategy was showing this dark, dreary house, and then her artwork, how it was bringing it life. And in particular, the uniqueness that she gave was this last bit here, that her art was modern art and was bringing good vibes for people or reminding them of some memories. So as it was hung in their house, it would be something that would be bringing them a lot of joy. So Corinne was able to tap into then knowing who she was, identifying her natural capability and talent through undertaking the talent dynamics, team dynamics for kids. And she then was able to go, well, I can use something that I really love, that I want to do all the time, and build a business out of it. So that was young Corinne. So Angie, were there any memorable stories that you remember with Corinne?
No, just how amazing she was. I mean, she was very clear about what she was passionate about. So she was quite lucky in many respects, but she knew how to channel it. And she actually made the sales, Karen, didn't she, before the end of the program? So again, it's not a hobby. She's actually making money out of her artwork. And she's attracted lots of media attention too, with how amazing she is and how creative. And I can't remember how old Corinne is. Was she about 14?
I think it's there on the slide. She's quite young, so 12.
Well,
I just had to remove all the happy faces we've got here.
Well,
to see that.
I mean, imagine having such a great start at 12 years old, having all those skills already. I mean, she's going to be a massive success. Well, she already is.
Well, she was able to get her artwork into local restaurants and also into some galleries. And so she does all of her work through Instagram. So again, when you get these slides, check out Corinne's work. And then our next level is that we take them. So once they understand this foundation level of who they are, it's then stepping up and looking at that self-expression. So this is what we call unlocking your creative superpowers. So when you know who you are, you know your strengths, you know your talents, you know your capabilities, and you know what you're good at, then you can start to connect with other aspects to really. So for Corinne, she connected with her hobby, for her love of art. So here it's about discovering what you're good at, what you love, and also what the world needs. So again, with Genius School, we have all these different tools and templates and other things that we use. So we get kids to look at the Ikigai score, and I'll share a little bit about this in a moment, but this is designed so that they can identify all of these things that we've got here and these points, but then it's applying that to then live a purposeful life. So we only act as this guide on the side. It's the young person who steps up. We don't do all the traditional way of, well, today we're going to do this and today we're going to do that. We're only going to do so much time on this. We actually get the kids started and then we act as the guide on the side. So again, we have a little assessment, little multiple choice process that you go through, and you can check in about what you love. It's our passion test. And so they go through, and by a process of elimination, they come up with 5 things that resonate with them for what they're passionate about. And then we also have our purpose test. So this is really what the world needs. And this aligns with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And so if you remember back in the image here, say with Alex, his purpose was life on the land. So he was, of course, connecting with his love of bees and making the honey and selling his honey. So this is the way that we get our young people to connect in, so that they're at this level of self-expression. So what they're doing is they're stepping up and going, well, where can I take this how can I continue to learn, but also earn by aligning my passion and my purpose? And so at our Genius Camps, which is another program we have this happening really in a very quick and rapid way. Within a couple of hours, these kids can connect in and put together their actual presentation. So we have all our Genius Energies, which are our Ideas Smart here in the top left-hand corner. And then we've got our People Smart next door to it. And then we've got Tempo, which is the Sensor Smart. And then the Steel is the Detail Smart. So we get them in teams where they're bringing and pooling all their ideas together. So the goal is to explore all of these questions in relation to a goal, a United Nations sustainable goal, and to identify their audience. And then what they have to do is to then explain why that's important. They put together a presentation as a group, and they identify the problem, and they explore all of the impacts, and also, you know, when people need things, where they need it, and explain to people what steps they need to take. So it's all about getting action happening. And these kids just amaze us the way that they will get that together. So this was one group who chose their goal as the clean water and sanitation. And they were just amazing how quickly they put together their presentation about developing and creating a organic hand sanitizer, because again, this was during pandemic time. And they actually kind of fooled us a bit, because they were doing this demonstration and we were thinking, wow, where did those kids get all those ingredients so quickly? And they said, oh no, don't worry, it's only water. But they knew. They went out and they got all their material together. They presented it to everybody, and they had us convinced. But they had their branding in place. They were just amazing with what they could do. And we were this, as I said, on the side, guiding them and helping them to apply their learning, not actually telling them what to do. So that was a great exercise. So the question I've got for you right now, for those who are here, whether you're a teen, a young person, or whether you're a parent, is what would your score be out of 10 for them knowing their unique strengths? And if you can put your score into the chat so we can get a little bit of an idea here. So what is your score for your young person, or for you if you're on this call as a young person? Do you know your unique strengths and talents and capabilities? And if you do, what's your score? And the other question we've got is, how do you unlock that creativity by aligning with your passion, talents, and purpose? So for Alex, for example, he'd have a high score now because he has aligned his love of making the honey, using his talents and being on purpose. Same with Corinne and also Isa. So we get our kids at this higher level of how they're going with their process. And this is all through our Young Entrepreneur Academy program. And it ranges from ages 10. So we had Isa came in because her sister was joining us. So it's 10 to 13 for our junior group. And for our senior group, it's 14 to 18. And it's all designed that within 4 weeks, they will have a fully functional digital business or an online business, or they've converted a business, if they already have one, into it being a virtual environment as well. And that's all based on making sure that they have success. So for all of the success stories we've shared, these kids are still going and they're still making the money, and they're also continuing to grow and develop, and where they're supporting them through that process. So with our academy, we have a number of people who come and join us as mentors, and they're all from a business background and all have had success. So we have them coming in doing finance. We have them looking at identifying their customer, solving problems, knowing how to set objectives and goals, knowing how to go on the pathway, knowing how to set their business up on a quarterly rhythm. All of that happens. And then we have also our educators working and helping and supporting them through the whole process. So we've got all of our mentors there. So we've got a number of people who are there, because what happens is when we're working with them, we get them into smaller groups to get them involved. So with the academy, it's a 4-week. Now, it's not 4 weeks turning up. It's a Monday to Friday, and that requires about an hour to be online for Monday to Friday, and then another hour where they're offline working on some of the tasks and the activities that we put in place. So it's really a case of, it's designed to help them to identify a business, to connect their passion and their purpose with their talents, and then by the end of it, to actually have a business ready to launch. And as Angie said, many of them launch it while they're still with us in the 4-week program. So Angie, you've been on the program. You've seen the transformation.
Yep. It's amazing. Like I've been in the Genius Group community for many years, about 12, 14 years, something crazy like that. And I've been to about 7 or 8 master's programs. And myself and many other entrepreneurs often struggle through the whole process of building the business and getting your avatars right, your communications right, identifying the customer, being able to communicate what problem you're solving, that whole process that we take our students through. I've seen many, many adults struggling, and some never come out with a complete plan or not one that they're going to implement. And every time we run a Yay, Karen, I'm blown away by our young people. They far outdo the adults, far outdo. I don't know many adults who've actually gone and made their first sales before they've even completed the program. And many of our kids have done that. So, so amazing program. And the transformations are just, well, they're to be seen, to be believed. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, the timing of this is usually in an evening or an early morning. So if they are committed to having to be at school, they can usually fit this in. But if you look at the dates, it's the 26th of July to the 20th of August. And that's when this is happening. So that will suit certain time zones for when they're on their school holidays. So it's not actually asking them to be online for a full day. It's only an hour a day. And they're working with the mentors that I shared with you. So that's the mentors are on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then on Tuesday and Thursday, it's a time when they're working in a smaller group and being supported by our educators to help them to apply each task as they go through. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put, or maybe let's just see, I've got a link here. Just wait a moment. I'll grab the link. And this is where you can go and find out about the Academy in more detail. And also too, if you're wanting to, you'll be able to book a free call with one of our Genius Igniters. So if you have a look at the site, or if as we go through this, you're finding that this is a fairly intriguing program and something that is interesting, then we'd encourage you to book that free call. Now, the next stage that we go on to here, which is now at this higher level. So if you remember, we were going in our framework, our self-awareness, our self-expression, and then this is the self-mastery. And this is where we really see some traction happening with our young people. And we have a fairly, very high completion rate at this level. And it's not just about developing their future ready skills with their critical and creative thinking. It's developing their collaboration, their communication, their effectiveness in presenting, understanding financials. So there's a lot more at this level of mastery. And this is where we see them applying this. And so if we think about it, the world of work's rapidly changing. And if we stay with the traditional way of delivering education, our kids aren't going to be prepared for this rapidly changing environment. And so that's why we encourage them to create a job and to make sure that by developing a job that is built around a digital environment, it allows them that flexibility to shift and be responsive and ready for any change. And so we have a structure in place, a framework that we have, which we use during the Academy, and it's our 90-day business development promotion plan. And so that's made up of a number of different steps, and Angie kind of referred to this a little bit before, that each step along the way, we have a business mentor who comes and provides them with about 30 minutes or so of information about how to be successful at each of these stages. And then after each of these, we have a template with this framework that our young people can go away and start and develop. So they're looking at using their critical thinking and their problem solving here. They're looking at, connecting with the community and finding out what it is that a customer needs. They're also being taught how to create something that's really compelling. So if you think about some of the goals that we shared with some of our young people in the success story, say Corinne, for example, her compelling offer was, this isn't just ordinary art. Okay, it's modern art, but it's designed to arouse and create a feeling and an emotion with you, or to bring back some really amazing memories. And then they learn about the customer pathway and the journey that they take the person on, and how to build a team, how to set goals, how to measure things. So it's not just kind of do it and run. It's, yes, do it, but then measure your success and working on a timeline. So these are crucial steps to our program with the promotion plan. So Angie, is anything you want to add there for the promotion plan?
No, you covered it all, Karen. Really good. Yeah.
Well, let's get on to an amazing success story with one of our young academy graduates, and this is Luke. He was with us at the age of 15. He had a business idea, and he also came with a particular mindset too around what business was. And so in the first week, he was very good at sort of telling us about, this is the way business is done and this is what you do. But we saw this shift in him as he worked his way through this promotion plan. He started to shift his understanding of what it was to apply that self-mastery in a very different way. So for Luke, he's a star. So he's great at getting out there and having the energy to be someone who is shining the light on something, or being able to connect with people and talk things up. And he's a great young man, and he's stepped up a whole lot more since we had him with this in the academy. So he has this dynamo energy with a little bit of blaze mixed in there. So for him, he wanted to help busy business owners who lack the time and the knowledge and the patience, and also even the skills. They didn't have the skills about going online to build an online presence. So I love this from his website, and you'll get to be able to go to his website and check it out. He says that we help you to stand out so you can be outstanding, expand your reach, amplify your impact. And I love this where he puts in here about omni-channel marketing software and services. And I thought, how marvelous is that he's got his understanding around all of this and all the different tools and software and services that he can put in place for his business. So he's got a great website there, and he's progressing along very nicely with the development of what he's doing. And he's kind of stepped up a lot more than that. And I'll share a little bit more about his journey later in the session. But here I want you to think about your own teen, or if you are on the call as a young adult, have you got those future ready skills in place where you can go out and create a business? Can you do that today? So in the chat, you might want to put something in there about how you feel about where they're at with this. Are they future ready? If they were to graduate even from the traditional education system tomorrow, would they be able to go out and get a business started? And then the last question there is, what is your biggest challenge right now to help your child to be future ready? You know, what's your biggest challenge that you're facing in this whole environment? So just to give you some more information about the Young Entrepreneur Academy, as I said, it's different sessions each day, Monday to Friday. We've got all our mentors there. They have a personal facilitator who's with them during the time. We also have a space, a private space where they can ask questions, and there's always somebody there to help them out if they've got a question. So it's not just turning up for the live. It's if they want to ask a question anytime during the week, that they can enter that into their space, and there's somebody there to help them. We also have bonus sessions on a Monday evening or a Monday, we're just thinking time zone, Monday evening in Australia, Monday morning for UK, Europe. So we've got bonus sessions for the parents, and that's really to support you, to help your child to be successful. And what we often find, Angie, is that we have the parents joining us, don't we, for some of the classes?
Absolutely. We've had parents said they've learned more here on this program than they have on other business programs they've attended. It's so cool. But of course, the parents then can help the teens as well. So that's our motivation in having the parents come along. But like Karen says, some have attended every single class.
Yeah. Well, some of them, when they do the future vision, setting their goals, some of the parents end up doing that themselves and saying, wow, I have got so much out of this. So we encourage the parents to be involved, because you're the person who's going to be supporting your young person. And someone like with Alex, for example, and also Luke, their parents are involved with them through this whole ongoing journey. We also have our EdTech platform, Genius U, so they're able to get onto that and be a part of that community, and be a mentor in the community, which means if they have their product, they can actually put their product into that platform and have the adult community buying their product in that space. We also have what we call a Genius Entrepreneur Mastermind, and that's for 12 months. And this is where Roger James Hamilton has people who are successful in business. Each month, he has a session where he's interviewing them. And so it's called GEM. And of course, there's lots of little gems that people get from being on those particular calls, something that they may not get in any other environment. They also get their Talent Dynamics for Young People report. So it not only identifies their strengths and their capabilities, but it also identifies, well, where are they going to be great at? What type of broad brush industries could they be involved in to have their business successful? And how do they work as a group? What skills do they bring? What attributes do they bring in when they're working with groups, and how they can be a leader in that group, and also how they can learn at their best, how they can master their learning by being more switched on and knowing that. And then we also have the Talent Dynamics profile for the parent as well. And the reason for that is that you can begin to support your child when you understand also your level of self-awareness and your level of self-expression. So our normal rate is $3,997, but we have an early bird of $997. And that's when you can apply for that. So the links that I put in before, you can use those links, particularly that book a free call, so you can talk about all the opportunities. And one of our Genius Igniters will be there to take you through and give you some information about the process. So the key learning outcomes that we focus on for this is, we talked about this just before, identifying their future vision. So what we're doing is we're setting them up for success. So they're creating their future vision, and also identifying their own compelling future as a young person stepping into this area of business. They learn the financial literacy components. And often we find that they get a deeper understanding of what it is to just not only get money, but also measure, knowing how to measure the money and how you can use it. So they learn how to plan this profitable project, and includes the budgeting and knowing their financials. The promotion plan strategy is there. So they're setting their goals, they're identifying their customer. So they're doing all these things, and what we call our avatar, and they understand who their ideal customer is, because they're doing this last part. They're solving that customer's problem. So we make sure that they're ensuring that their product, or their service or their program is meeting the needs of their ideal customer. So we integrate all of those future skills throughout the program. And it's like, in a classroom environment, they would adopt what we call an explicit teaching. In other words, they teach it as they do to teaching the test or teaching the curriculum. Our way of doing it is more implicit. In other words, it's kind of built into the program without it being obvious that it's there, but it's all part of the whole learning. And then other learning outcomes is understanding how they can identify their best team, because we help them to understand that you can't do business on your own. What's the term, Angie? A yellow octopus?
Oh, yeah. So a yellow octopus is a term used for somebody who's self-employed. So it means that they've got one brain, 8 legs, and everything sucks, because they're doing everything themselves.
Yeah, so we teach the kids that you can't do it, even though you might think you can. And so we teach them how to build their best team, but they're the leader of the team. They're the one who knows what everything's about, and they're leading the team, and they're delegating the various tasks, whether it be finance or whether it be marketing or whether it be customer service. They understand all of that. They also understand the different business models that are out there that they can use, so that they have this broad area that they can be involved in and not just go down one narrow pathway that they might have learned about through a careers market or wherever else. So we get them to understand that, and also understanding that global impact that they have. So with ISA, it was a global impact on the insects, educating people how to take care of the environment. And the same with Alex, caring for the environment, their global impact. With Luke, if we go back here, his was all about decent work and economic growth. So taking care of business owners. But he basically said to us as well that if I have a business, I can bring on people into my team that I'm giving them the opportunity to develop their decent work and economic growth. So he had quite a great overview of what he needed to do. Also building the trust and the value through the customer. So we get them to understand that someone's not going to buy something from you until they begin to trust you. So we take them through that whole understanding of the customer pathway. And then, of course, they're launching their business after the 4 weeks. But as we've experienced in our recent classes, these kids are ready to go. They're launching during the program and then sharing their success with us. And then the last part is learning to maintain this rhythm of business as well, that you just don't do it once and then you give up. You actually maintain a rhythm. So you and your teen, if you're a parent or if you're on this call as a young adult, young teen, then you can join us for the Academy at the $997 price and not the $3,997. So as we said, there's opportunities for people to be involved. So there's people can come in, like we've had grandparents join us, we've had parents join us, we've had people who are guardians of certain kids, and they're all involved in the program and working their way through. So just to close off, and if we've got any questions, we can look at those. The extra bonus points that we've got here is this whole steps to success. So as I shared with you, it's not just stopping once you've started, it's knowing how you can continue to develop and build your business. And so we teach the kids about this concept of a rhythm in business. And this is wonderful to see this. It's slow down to reflect, learn, adapt, and then advance with certainty. And that's what we get them to do. So that's why we teach them how to measure things and how to reflect on what's happening and look at, okay, with my plan, maybe I can just tweak something and then step forward into my next 12-week cycle. So this is the process that we get them to go through, is to understand how they can learn and earn through a 12-week cycle. And then, of course, to celebrate. We have to celebrate. We can't just keep doing the hard work. And so this is where we get them to think about recognizing the value of themselves and their team, celebrating that, and then feeling the pride of everyone who's working at their absolute best. And a great success story that we've got around that are these 3 young men. They've all been through our program, and you've met some of them. You met Luke and met Alex. And then Ben came through our program in July, August last year, and he developed a podcasting business. And these 3 fellows decided that they would link up and take things to another level. So they have formed a new company called Rich Kids Global. And this is their goal. They want to help and inspire other kids to be successful young entrepreneurs. And they want to build a global community that's built by kids for kids. So they've got this action plan. They did their launch around about March, April this year. And so for them, they want to get this network going and they want to have some programs. They have this book club and they have a MAPS, which is about climbing the mountain for success. So you can check out what they're doing, but this is what we encourage. We step back and we allow these young people to step up. And when we think about, well, if I would think about what I was doing when I was 15 or 12, it certainly wasn't developing a business and developing this whole community. Admittedly, the technology wasn't around, but I still could have developed some community locally. But these young people, once we give them the skills and we assist them and scaffold their learning and the way that they engage, they just take things to a whole new level. So Angie, you've been across what's happening with the boys as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Very impressive young men, because like Karen said, they took all their learnings and they were so inspired by what they learned and the impact it made for them that they're now teaching other kids, which we think is fantastic. And they're going to head up some of our events for young people as well. So we'll have them in as speakers and, you know, continue to support them and shine the light on what they're doing. So yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, we get them to come into the academy as well. So
yeah,
in our facilitation sessions, we've invited them to come back. And of course, their story resonates more with their peers than probably our story. And that's why it's great to have them involved. And as Angie said, we're getting them to come in as speakers. So we would love you to be involved in our 4-week academy, which starts on the 26th of July. So you and your teen or young person, or if you're on the call as a young person, to sign up and be involved in that, because this quote by John Dewey is absolutely crucial, that if we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. And so it's extremely important that we engage our young people and prepare them with those future-ready skills, but also that entrepreneurial mindset so that they can step up. So, Angie, before we sign off, just wanting to know whether there's any questions
there's no
that people have.
No questions as yet, and nobody's posted any in chat. I did notice that Robin put the comment that she had a score of 6 for both of her kids when we looked at how they're working with their talents and unique purpose. But no questions in chat. No. Thanks, Karen.
Okay, so thanks everybody for joining us, and we would really look forward to having you on our Young Entrepreneur Academy when we start on the 26th of July.
Cool. Book a call if you have any questions. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.